Have you ever sat down after walking just a few minutes and felt your heart racing a little more than usual? Maybe it's not painful, just noticeable. Or maybe you've shrugged off the tiredness in your chest as just getting older. But let me ask you something. What if that feeling is your body trying to say something important? Aging comes with a long list of changes, some we expect, like stiff joints or thinning hair, and some that catch us off guard. But one of the most dangerous things about getting older isn't just what's happening inside your body, it's the habits you keep doing without realizing they could be slowly, quietly hurting you. Especially your heart. Now, before you think, well, I've made it this far, I must be doing okay, let me gently challenge that. Sometimes the habits we've had for decades feel so normal, so harmless, that we don't even think to question them. But after 70, your heart doesn't recover or compensate the way it used to. And that means things that used to be no big deal might actually be putting a dangerous strain on your most important muscle. This isn't meant to scare you, it's to empower you. Because here's the truth, small changes can save lives. And being just a little more aware could help you avoid a heart scare that no one saw coming. So let's sit down together, just like two old friends having a quiet chat in the living room, and talk about something you might still be doing every single day, that your heart doesn't appreciate at all. Let's start with something that might surprise you, sitting too much. I know, at our age, sitting sounds like a well-earned break. After all, you've probably spent your life working, raising a family, keeping up with everything. So sitting feels deserved, like a little peace in a busy world. But what happens when sitting becomes the main thing you do all day? The truth is, long periods of sitting, even if it's in a recliner, even if you're watching something relaxing, can lead to real problems with circulation. When we don't move our legs, our blood slows down. That forces your heart to work harder to push blood where it needs to go. And when this becomes your daily routine, sit to read, sit to eat, sit to rest, sit to watch TV, your heart starts losing the little moments of movement it used to rely on to stay strong. A man I met a while back, Henry, 74, told me he used to walk every morning. Nothing long. Just around the block with his wife. But after she passed, he stopped. He said he didn't feel motivated. And over time, sitting in front of the TV became his comfort zone. One day, he stood up too quickly, got dizzy, and passed out. Turned out, his resting heart function had declined just from months of low movement. You don't need to run marathons. But your heart craves rhythm. Circulation. Gentle movement. Even a 5-minute walk every hour is better than staying still for hours on end. The solution isn't radical, it's intentional. Stand up more often. Walk around the room during commercials. Do a lap around the house before each meal. It may seem small, but for your heart, it's everything. Another habit that's more common than we like to admit? Too much salt. You'd be amazed how often I hear, but I don't taste the salt, or I barely salt my food. But the truth is, most of the sodium that ends up in your body doesn't come from the shaker. It comes from packaged foods, canned soups, frozen meals, sauces, and even bread. Yes, bread. And while your kidneys used to be able to flush out extra salt when you were younger, that ability slows down with age. Which means your body starts holding onto more sodium, and sodium holds onto water. This increases your blood pressure, bloats your vessels, and makes your heart work harder just to keep you steady. Mary, 79, told me she was shocked when her doctor suggested cutting back on processed soup. I thought I was eating healthy, she said. It was low-fat, veggie-based. But that little can of soup had over 1,200 milligrams of sodium, more than half of what's safe for the whole day. And she'd been eating it 5 days a week. You don't have to cut out flavor. Just become more mindful. Read labels. Choose low-sodium versions. Add herbs instead of salt. And most of all, avoid the mindset that a little won't hurt. Because your heart is whispering, not yelling. And if you listen now, you won't have to hear it scream later. And here's another thing that often gets overlooked, bottling up stress. Now I know, talking about stress isn't easy. especially for people who grew up in a generation where the motto was often just deal with it. You didn't complain. You didn't show weakness. You just moved on. But stress doesn't disappear. It settles in your body, especially your heart. Every time you get anxious about money but say nothing. Every time you feel lonely but tell yourself to suck it up. Every time you feel frustrated with your health, but you put on a smile for the grandkids. That emotional pressure becomes physical pressure. It elevates your heart rate. It raises your blood pressure. It creates inflammation throughout your body. And over time, it quietly wears your heart down. It doesn't mean you need to cry every day or spill your heart out to strangers. But it does mean giving yourself permission to feel and express what's really going on. That might mean journaling, calling a trusted friend, or even just sitting quietly and admitting when something's hard. There's nothing weak about acknowledging stress. It's one of the strongest, most loving things you can do for yourself and your heart. The truth is, your heart doesn't just respond to what you eat or how much you move. It responds to how you live, to what you carry emotionally, to the routines you've built over the years, some of which may have served you once, but are now quietly putting strain on your body. And that brings us to another habit, one that's so subtle, so common, and yet so risky as we age: skipping meals or eating inconsistently. You'd be surprised how many older adults do this without realizing it. You wake up late, sip on a bit of coffee, maybe nibble on toast, and then suddenly it's already mid-afternoon. Or maybe lunch just doesn't feel necessary, so you have a little fruit or nothing at all. Dinner becomes the first real meal of the day. And at that point, you're so hungry, you overeat or reach for whatever's quick and comforting. But here's what happens inside your body when you skip meals: your blood sugar starts to dip, and in response, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to keep you going. Those hormones raise your blood pressure, speed up your heart rate, and put your heart under extra strain. Over time, it becomes a roller coaster. Up, down, up again. And your heart is the one strapped into the front seat. Not to mention, without regular meals, you may not be getting enough potassium, magnesium, or other nutrients that keep your heartbeat stable. Skipping meals doesn't just make you lightheaded. It throws off your internal rhythm. And rhythm, for the heart, is everything. A man named David once told me that after his wife passed, he didn't see the point in cooking for one. He'd snack on crackers, maybe have soup if he remembered. But he started having dizzy spells. His heart fluttered in odd ways. The doctor said his electrolytes were low, and his blood pressure kept spiking and crashing. All because he wasn't fueling his body regularly. The fix wasn't complicated. Just a simple breakfast. Something small in the afternoon. And a lighter dinner. Once his meals came back into balance, so did his energy and his heart. Now let's talk about something you may not think of as a health issue, but has one of the biggest impacts on heart health as we age: poor sleep habits. You've probably heard it before: oh, older folks just don't sleep as much. But that's not entirely true. We may sleep lighter or differently, but our bodies still need deep, restorative rest. Without it, your heart pays the price. Every night, when you sleep, your blood pressure naturally dips. Your heart rate slows down. Your body enters repair mode. But when you don't sleep long enough, or when you keep waking up during the night, your heart never gets that rest. It keeps working overtime. Even worse, disrupted sleep increases inflammation in the body. It messes with your hormones. It can lead to weight gain, higher cholesterol, and insulin resistance, all of which affect your heart directly. There was a woman I knew, Lena, who told me she'd been sleeping in her recliner for years. "It's more comfortable than my bed," she said. "And I like watching the late-night shows." But she woke up every hour or two, stiff and exhausted. Her doctor later discovered she had untreated sleep apnea, and her heart had been under pressure for years because of poor sleep quality. You don't need to aim for perfect sleep. But a few changes, like creating a calming nighttime routine, limiting screens before bed, or speaking to your doctor about sleep disturbances, can make a massive difference. Your heart needs rest just as much as your mind does. Finally, let's talk about something that feels so normal, so ordinary, that you may not have questioned it in decades: ignoring mild symptoms because they'll pass. How often have you felt a flutter in your chest, a shortness of breath after light activity, or even a strange tiredness that just lingers, and told yourself, it's nothing? Maybe you didn't want to bother your family. Or you didn't want to deal with doctors. Or worse, you were afraid of what you might find out. But here's the thing, most heart attacks don't start with dramatic movie-style chest pain. They start with whispers. Tightness. Pressure. Unusual fatigue. Discomfort in the neck, jaw, or back. Lightheadedness. Symptoms that are easy to dismiss until they aren't. And for people over 70, those early signs matter even more. Your heart doesn't recover the same way it used to. What could have been managed with early care turns into an emergency if ignored too long. I once spoke to a man named Ron who said his first warning sign wasn't pain, it was exhaustion. Just walking to the mailbox left him breathless. He chalked it up to aging. 2 weeks later, he had a mild heart attack. Thankfully, he recovered. But he said something I'll never forget: the heart doesn't shout, it nudges. And I wasn't listening. That's really what this whole conversation is about, isn't it? Learning to listen to the nudges. The subtle messages your body sends when something's off. Because those nudges are often all we get. You've lived through a lot. You've weathered decades of stress, hard work, joy, loss, laughter, and change. Your heart has been there through it all, beating, adjusting, adapting. And now it's asking for something in return. Not perfection. Just attention. Care. Gentleness. A willingness to let go of old habits that no longer serve the body you're in today. Because while age brings wisdom, it also brings vulnerability. And there is strength, not shame, in admitting when we need to do things differently. You still have time. You still have choices. You still have a heart that wants to keep going strong. If you've made it this far, let me say this: I'm proud of you. Because facing the truth about your health takes real courage. It's so easy to brush things off. To say, I'm fine, even when something inside us wonders if we really are. But today, you've done something powerful. You've taken time to listen. Not just to this conversation, but to your body. And your heart will thank you for that. Let's talk now about what happens when you take what we've just discussed and begin to act on it. Because knowledge is important, but it's what you do with it that truly changes your life. Maybe you've realized you've been sitting a little too much. Or relying on salty canned foods a little too often. Or maybe you've felt those whispers: tiredness, skipped meals, poor sleep, and now you're thinking, okay, what now? Here's what I want to offer you: it doesn't take a huge overhaul to protect your heart. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to care enough about the version of you right now to give it what it needs. Let's say you start with movement. If standing up more feels hard, just set a little timer to remind you every hour. Stand, stretch, walk around the room. That small act wakes up your circulation. Your heart perks up like it's been noticed. Because it has. Or if you've been skipping meals, start with something light, but consistent. A boiled egg. Half a banana. A slice of whole grain toast. It doesn't need to be fancy. Just something to tell your body, I haven't forgotten about you. And over time, your energy will stabilize, and your heart won't have to play catch-up all day long. If you're someone who sleeps in a chair, or wakes up frequently through the night, just ask yourself, is my room set up for rest? Try dimming the lights earlier. Avoid watching stressful news before bed. Maybe swap the late-night snack for a cup of warm tea. Or if your sleep is truly poor, talk to your doctor. Because better sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Your heart uses that time to heal, to reset, to breathe. And if you've had those quiet symptoms, mild pressure, shortness of breath, unusual tiredness, don't ignore them. Call your doctor. Even if it turns out to be nothing serious, you'll know. And peace of mind is worth more than you think. It's so easy, especially at this stage in life, to downplay what we feel. To say we don't want to be a burden. Or that we've lived long enough to not worry anymore. But let me say this as clearly as I can, your life still matters. Your quality of life still matters. There's a freedom that comes with aging, but there's also a responsibility. To care for this body that's carried you through decades. To protect the heart that's shown up for you, day in and day out, every single moment of your life. You don't owe it perfection. But you do owe it attention. And small, consistent care. And I know this isn't always easy. Sometimes, changing habits feels like giving up comfort. That bag of chips. That easy dinner from the microwave. That late night routine. But I want to offer you something better in return: strength. Calm. Clarity. More energy in the morning. Fewer dizzy spells. A steadier, more resilient heart. And maybe, just maybe, more time. More time to enjoy your garden. To play with your grandkids. To travel. To sit in the sun and feel good, not just okay, but truly good, in your own body. You see, heart health after 70 isn't just about avoiding heart attacks or lowering cholesterol. It's about feeling alive. About making your days easier, your nights more restful, and your moments more joyful. And when you begin listening to your body and adjusting your habits, when you stop ignoring the whispers and start responding with care, you become your own greatest ally. You become the reason your heart keeps going strong. Now, before we wrap up, I want to invite you to do something brave. If something in this video made you think, "That's me," I want you to take one small action today. Just one. Maybe it's checking your pantry for high-sodium items. Maybe it's setting an alarm to remind yourself to stand up and walk a few steps. Maybe it's calling your doctor about that flutter in your chest. Or maybe it's just writing down how you really feel when you're alone with your thoughts. Whatever it is, do it for you. Not because someone told you to, but because your life deserves that kind of love and attention. And if this video helped you, even a little, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What did you recognize in yourself? What's one thing you want to work on for your heart this week? Let's talk. Let's support each other. You're not alone in this. If you haven't already, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. This channel is a place for real conversations, practical health tips, and encouragement for living well at every age. Because you deserve to feel strong. You deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel proud of how far you've come and hopeful about what's still ahead. Here's to your heart. May it stay steady. May it stay strong. And may it carry you with grace into every new day.